What's going on, everybody? Today we're going to be going over the install of our Polaris Ranger bed rack system. So this is what you should have once you get the box open and pull everything out. You should have a driver and passenger side rail, a front rail, a rear rail, and 2 cross members. You should also have a driver and passenger front mount, 2 center mounts that are identical, and a driver and passenger side rear mount. You should also have a pack of hardware that's going to have a bag of 1/4-20s. One's going to have these inside corner braces as well as the logo backer plates, and then another bag of hardware that's going to have the 1032s for the logo backers. Alright, so the first step here is going to be the easiest. We're just going to go ahead and install those logo backers. So you'll need an 1/8" Allen and a 3/8 wrench. We'll just go ahead and get the hardware thrown in here. Backer on the back side, and then your nuts and washers. So after those logo backers are installed, go ahead and grab both of those side panels and set them apart from each other with the S logos to the outside, and grab that front panel. The larger slot oval shaped holes are going to go towards the front, and the shorter slots are going to go towards the top. And then you'll grab your 1/4-20s, and you'll have 1, 2, 3 mounting holes for these guys. So we'll pop some hardware in there, flip everything over, and get it all snug. We'll leave everything hand tight until the end, and we'll final tighten everything down. So again, bolt through the outside and a nut and washer on the inside. Then once we finish with this side, on the passenger side, we'll go ahead and repeat the same thing on the driver's side. Alright, so for the next step, we're going to go ahead and get the rear of the rack all put together. For this, you will need to go ahead and grab the driver and passenger rear rack mounts. So once these go ahead and get installed onto the rack, just to distinguish your driver and passenger side, this guy here is going to be your driver's side. It's going to turn forward towards the front of the car and go towards the front of the rack as it gets installed. So what we'll go ahead and do here to get them all bolted together is that rear piece, just like the outside, just like the front, is going to sit on the center. And then our hardware is actually going to go through the mount, through the side panel, and then into the rear. Then we'll go ahead and get nuts and washers on the back of all those, and same as everything else, go ahead and leave those just hand tight for now, and we'll tighten them all up later. After the rear and the front panels are on and bolted together loosely, in the same bag that you had your logo backers in, you'll have these inside corner braces. These are going to go on all 4 of the inside corners, just here like this. So you'll just grab a 1/4-20 and throw that through both sides, nut and washer on the back side, and snug those bad boys up. Next, we're going to go ahead and grab both of our center cross members, and we'll spread those evenly throughout. So 4 sets of holes in between each, and then you'll go ahead and throw one of these in there. So just as an install tip, I like to run the hardware from the inside of the side panel into here. It just makes it a little bit easier to access the nut from the inside versus having to get up in here with it. Alright, so once your crossbows are installed, your front and your back, your inside brackets, all that, go ahead and fully tighten everything up. The one real thing to pay attention here is on your rear mounts. Just make sure that top edge of it is perfectly aligned with the top edge of that side rail. We'll put in a close-up of it, but that's going to help with aligning on the back mounts of the car. All right, so the last step of your pre-assembly of the rack is just going to be to install your center mounts. So go ahead and grab those. They're symmetrical left and right, so it doesn't matter which side, as long as they curve away from the rack, just like the rear ones do. And those are going to go in these holes right next to the logo itself. So we'll get those thrown on, and just like when we tighten down the rear mounts, you're just going to want to make sure that these are as square as you can get them when you go ahead and snug them down, just to aid with the install once it's on the actual car. All right, so now we're going to start prepping the car for the install. So we're going to go ahead and install the front mounts on the roof here. You'll need a T27 Torx, and you can go ahead and remove both of these front mounts. And then we can go ahead and install our mounts. So they are different driver to passenger side, as you can see here. So this guy here is going to be our driver's side. So the way that it's going to get installed is the longer tab is going to go towards the inside, and your vertical rib should be almost flush with this edge here. You should see a slight lean towards the rear of the car in these two holes. If it's the other way, you've got the wrong side. Just flip them around and you'll be good to go. And again, on this guy, just leave it loose because you are going to have to adjust it to line up with the roof rack itself. So leave it to where you can slide it around a bit. And then do the same thing on the other side. So moving on to the rear of the car, we're at the back door here. We're gonna go ahead and remove the 2 bolts here for the top door hinge. If you don't have a North Star, you're gonna go ahead and bolt into that same exact spot. It's just not gonna be a door hinge there. It'll be a blank like down here. So we'll go ahead and remove those. And when you take that second one out, just be careful to hold this hinge. There's a washer in the center that you don't want to drop and lose. So just make sure you're holding the bottom of that. Pull all that out, set it to the side. And there is a nut plate in the back too that you're just going to want to go ahead and make sure that you hold on to as well. And same story goes for these center mounts here. We'll go ahead and remove the both of those.
Yeah.
And make sure your door is closed when you do this. That front hinge is going to help hold the alignment of the door for when you reinstall the top hinge. So with the roof rack sitting up on top of the roof here, we'll go ahead and start getting the hinges reinstalled. So they're going to go between the roof rack mount and the cage. So basically back right where they were. The new mount is going to sit on the outside of it. So go ahead and slide that up in the middle. Slide your bolt plate back up there, or your nut plate, and then reinstall the factory hardware. And just get those snug, then we'll work our way forward. All right, so same story goes here for the middle. We'll go ahead and slide that up between our roof rack bracket and the factory bracket and reinstall the factory hardware. And last step here is we're going to go ahead and get the front mount all bolted in. So this is why we left them loose earlier. You're going to want to make sure that it can slide over. The mount is going to go on the inside of the side rail on these front mounts. So go ahead and drop in those last couple of 1/4 20s. and get those all snugged up. Then once you've got that done, do everything to the other side. And then all you'll do is you'll make sure that your rack is square. Give it a good look from the front of the car, a good look from the back of the car. Do any sort of adjustment that you have to do. And then those front mounts that we left loose earlier, you'll go ahead and torque all the way back down with that T27. And then tighten up your bottom mounts, or the bottom of your mounts rather. And then just make sure that all of your doors still do close properly if you have the North Star version, since you did mess with those hinges.